Let's move on over to our delightful anchor, Mrs. Nalini Bhatt, who will now share her delightful story on Shri Satya Sai Baba. Come on close. Let's take a look.
Love is my form, truth is my breath, this is my food. Love is my form, truth is my breath, this is my food. Love is my form, truth is my breath, this is my food. Love is my form, truth is my breath.
We at Prashanti offer our humblest pranams at the most sacred lotus feet of Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba. Welcome brothers and sisters, this is Nalini.
Bhagavan Baba descended to earth as an avatar to accomplish his grand mission of transforming humanity. To aid in his task, he seems to have brought his own battalion of dedicated people. In the month of June, we feature 3 staunch devotees who gave their all to Baba. First on the list is Shri K. Chakravarti, an IAS officer who took voluntary retirement to serve Swami and for the past 40 years has been discharging multifarious duties with paramount devotion and dedication. Serving in various capacities, Shri Chakravarti was the registrar at Shri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning and currently is its chancellor. He was the secretary of Shri Satya Sai Central Trust and after 2011 to now is its trustee. To Chakravarti, God was out there in the far-flung heaven until he was taken under the protective umbrella of Bhagavan when he started feeling that God is a living reality with visible shape and color. After repeated requests by Chakravarti to join the ashram, Baba gave him permission in 1981, stating that it was time to leave IAS and join SAI, a mere reversal of alphabets. But to Shri Chakravarti, it was a colossal move from his incessant journey in the external world to his voyage inwards. In his very first meeting in 1975, Baba looked deep into his eyes and said to Shri Chakravarti, "I may be new to you, you are old to me." It was as though the curtain had fallen, the veil lifted, although for a fleeting moment. From then on, Baba worked his miracles. "I have just watered your root. It will take time to grow," Baba had said in the beginning. Bhagwan had been pouring water as a zealous gardener since, and the tree grew.
You resigned from the government when you were 44 years old. You've been serving Swami all these years. What sort of a discipline does it take?
For my work, whatever is required, Swami had given. For my stay, whatever is required is given. I don't think I ever felt the need to have some other support mechanism.
What about personal ambition? Somebody of your cadre would have retired at a very senior level.
Yes, there you can make what is your preference. How many people beyond retirement would have really been able to get a chance to work in a manner which gives not only personal satisfaction, but also something which would have registered in the books of God that you had been a humble servant.
Today, do you feel satisfied?
I have no reason to feel that I would have been happier anywhere else. I'm a very fulfilled person. To be able to do some work in the larger scheme of things of God at the age of 82 is something which is very difficult for me to not be happy about.
Personally, you're correct.
Insofar as personal feelings are concerned, it is as strong as it has been.
1 minute you speak of soaring with poetry into an exalted state of mind, and next minute you're talking to Vignesh and saying, get a brand new lock for the store. Then you're talking about Satya Sai Center for Human Values. So you do traverse multiple worlds, and yet you stay in that moment.
The nature of the work moves from noble and exalted to very pedestrian. When you talk of human values, you are in contact with the source which makes it exalted. And you have to live in a world of very ordinary things which become the very warp and woof of our life. It has been a wonderful time given by Swami to be with him. I don't think I could have chosen any other place. Work here was incidental. He gave me a chance to be with him to work. That was far more important than being a registrar or a secretary of the trust. It is indefinable how you find your place in the vast scheme of things which he represents. A cog in the wheel, a very inconspicuous dot. That dot was made special. You found reason to be associated with something, the dimension of which you have no concept at all. Such a vast thing made into a very identifiable figure, and you have a contact with that figure. There is a great sense of inward joy, some secret fulfillment. That's what Swami represents.
Sri Chakravarti muses. Have I found the place where I started? Can it be found in this lifetime? At least I know I am on the royal road, though many miles to go. But with Bhagavan as the goal, as the road and as the guide, I am sure to cover the miles.
Thank you for watching. Jai Sai Ram.
Love is my form, truth is my breath, bliss is my food.
We at Prashanti offer our humblest pranams at the most sacred lotus feet of Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba. Welcome brothers and sisters, this is Nalini.
Baba said, "My life is my message," meaning I have lived in such a way that by emulating me, you will live my message. Today on Prashanti, we bring you Shri Venkata Raman, a Padma Shri awardee who is living Baba's message to the T, serving Baba with utmost devotion and dedication. Professor Venkata Raman is an eminent scientist, recipient of the C.V. Raman Centenary Award, author of numerous books and articles, and the head of Radio Sai Global Harmony. His extraordinary series on Shri Baba's life called Miracle of Pure Love is available on YouTube. He also has a series called Musings, Just One More Time, and Musings on Shirdi Sai Baba.
Puttapati is telling the world now, discover your heart, discover the compassion, and let it flood all over your body, flow out in acts of selfless love.
When did you become so interested in the why?
I was given a lot of books as a small boy related to our epics. The god that I liked very much was Lord Rama, who stood for truth and righteousness. But when I started my scientific career, would think of God at times and science at times, one began to wonder about certain aspects. Later on, as one became older and wiser, I realized that, as Baba says, science is only one half of the story. Spirituality is the missing half. And unless you have all of it together, you don't get the whole picture.
What significance does Satya Sai Baba have in your life?
Satya Sai Baba not only has transformed me, but he has made my life meaningful. Satya Sai Baba made me reflect. He made me realize the real purpose of human life, as I now see it, is to recognize the divinity in man, recognized by many religions. They all say God made man in his own image. If God is divine, then man has to be divine too if he is the image of God.
Why did you decide to make the effort to undergo the transformation when you were perfectly content before?
I did not make the effort. It was divinely ordained. I had a couple of major setbacks in life. It's only when you are miserable you think of God. When the going is good, you can say God has no business to share my credit. Well, one thing led to another, and I came here. I saw Bhagwan. A spell was cast over me. I went through all the euphoria of the beginner. But then the scientist in me came up and I began to pay serious attention to his discourses. I read things that I had never read before. One sentence of Viktor Weisskopf profoundly influenced me. Knowledge without compassion is inhuman. Compassion without knowledge is ineffective. So he said, I'm supposed to have some scientific knowledge. Do I want to be inhuman or human? Choice was obvious, especially being in Bhagwan Baba's proximity. I have tried to use whatever time I have and whatever talents God has gifted to me in the service of humanity in manners that I thought were useful and within my scope.
Who is Sai Baba?
Well, it all depends at what level you are looking for an answer. If you are looking for an answer at the purely newspaper level, I would give a biographical thumbnail sketch. Sai Baba is a person born in a certain family on 23rd November 1926, so on and so forth. That doesn't. If you are asking me to describe Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba, I would say, in purely human terms, he is pure love personified. He glides. He stops, talks to people. There are two reasons why he does this. He talks to make that person happy. He stays there to talk so that people in that neighborhood can see him more closely. They can see him smile, joke, and they derive a lot of pleasure out of it. Thousands of people can see him. That's what they have come for from long distances. So even though he doesn't talk to you, you see him for 25 minutes, it charges you. What confirmed his divinity to me personally, he comes with a wonderful smile. And as he goes past, I've seen the faces of people light up. There is an extraordinary effulgence that gets switched off the moment he goes. And that effulgence convinced me that there is divine in those people. Sometimes he will stand there and look at infinity. It is as if all the people in front of him have dissolved and he is one with them. He is in a different state, all by himself. He has drawn into that himself all the people in front of him. Then suddenly he will snap out of it and start talking to somebody. So you see divinity at the practical level and or more or less at the abstract level. As he says, if you look at God with a human eye, you will see a human being. If you see God with a divine eye, you will see the divine. Just before I retired from service, I came to Baba and said, I want to come here and work. He said, you're not retiring, I'm going to retire you. So with Baba, yes, you don't take a vacation, he doesn't take any vacation. I feel enormous strength and pleasure in doing his work, and I'm not going to trade it in by no means. Yeah. I would unhesitatingly say these are the most useful years of my life. I know who I am finally, what I am doing, and why I am doing it, for whom I am doing it. I am grateful to God. If he sends me to Hawaii to do some work, you will find me there doing work, not on the beaches.
Thank you for watching Prashanti. Jai Sai Ram.
Love is my form, truth is my breath, bliss is my food. Love is my form, truth is my
We at Prashanti offer our humblest pranams at the most sacred lotus feet of Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba. Welcome brothers and sisters, this is Nalini.
Today on Prashanti, we bring you an incredible story of a man who was everything that Shri Baba wants in a devotee, Shri Madhyal Narayan Bhatt. Narayan Bhatt was a self-illumined persona in spirituality and the passion to serve humanity, a magnet who attracted many a youth to take the spiritual highway of service to humanity. Even before he came to Swami, Narayan Bhatt had formed Loka Seva Vrinda in 1960, a service organization in Alike. Upon coming into Baba's fold in 1962, the spiritual light in him started shining even more brightly, adding extra luminescence. Reading a book on Baba, he had gone to Puttaparthi, and with one glance of Swami from a distance, his heart knew that he was the same Lord Rama and Lord Krishna come again. After he returned to Alike, he embarked fully on the path of service shown by Shri Satya Sai Baba. In 1962, he decided to start a residential school with the primary objective of imparting value-based education. The seeds he planted grew to huge banyan tree and expanded to Satya Sai Vihar campus, Sharda Vihar campus, Vani Vihar campus, and schools at Muddenahalli in Karnataka. When Narayan Bhatt met Swami with the desire of offering the institutions to Swami, Baba said cryptically, "Okay, your work is over. Now you can go." Shri Bhatt also wanted Swami to be present for the formal handing over of the school at Alike. But before Swami could come, Shri Bhatt was killed in a car accident. Baba's enigmatic words, "Your work is over," had meant that he was ready to merge at Baba's feet, revealed in a telegram sent by Baba on the same day. His mother was inconsolable on hearing of her son's death. At Baba's invitation, she went to Parthi, and the grieving mother asked Baba, "Swami, but surely you could have saved him." Swami said, "Amma, for one moment I considered that. I heard two voices. One was your voice saying, 'Swami, please save my son. And the other voice was, your son's pleading to me, please take me into you. In the end, I decided to listen to him. Swami then promised that the institutions would not be orphaned but will be under the umbrella of his guidance and protection. Baba himself spoke very highly of Narayan Bhatt. Here is the essence of Baba's discourse. Shri Narayan Bhatt struggled hard to develop projects in Alike and Budenahalli both. He took out huge loans of 10 lakhs. The loans kept piling up, and finally Narayan Bhatt caught hold of Swami's feet and prayed to Swami from the bottom of his heart. I have no other refuge. Please take over these institutions. Swami's heart melted. Swami immediately gave him 10 lakh rupees and said, "You repay the loan and continue your spiritual life without any worries." Since then, Narayan Bhatt strived hard and developed the educational institutions. He became a role model by implicitly following Swami's wishes. He met with an accident and left his body. The institutions became like a child without the mother, completely orphaned thereafter. But today, with the efforts of others, it has developed very well, spreading its branches with several schools and colleges which have set records at all India level.
Reverend Madhyal Narayana Bhatt was an ardent devotee of Bhagwan Baba. His heart was vibrant with intense devotional and patriotic fervor, and his life was a saga of sacrifice and service. He was the founder of Lokaseva Vrinda, an educational organization. He offered himself and Lokaseva Vrinda at the altar of Bhagwan Baba's mission and built the institutions brick by brick. On 14th August 1978, the all-compassionate Bhagwan graciously took over Lokaseva Vrinda into his fold. The educational institutions, away from the din and dust, girdled by lush green trees in midst of enchanting scenic beauty, has become an academy with coconut groves and areca gardens whispering Sai Ram, Sai Ram to every wave of wind. The house where Shri Narayana Bhatt was born and fostered reminds us of the great sacrifice made by him. His mother and his sister dedicated all their ancestral property at the altar of Swami's mission, and it is now called Shri Satya Sai Mandir. The institutions at Alike were sanctified by Bhagwan Baba's divine visit in 1979 and 2001. The Samadhi Mandap, where Shri Narayana Bhatt was laid to rest, evokes poignant memories of the saintly person.
Thank you for watching Prashanti. Jai Sai Ram.
Let's move on over to our delightful anchor, Mrs. Nalini Bhatt, who will now share her heart-touching story on Shri Satya Sai Baba. Let's take a look.
Love is my form, truth is my breath, this is my food.
We at Prashanti offer our humblest pranams at the most sacred lotus feet of Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba. Welcome, brothers and sisters. This is Nalini.
Shri Baba was born on 23rd November 1926 in a small house in Puttaparthi. Now, a beautiful sacred Shiva temple adorns the birthplace of Shri Baba, and today let us visit this sacred temple, specially hallowed for it was sanctified by Baba himself in 1979. Since then, it has become a must-visit place for devotees. The temple reverberates with the sounds of bells when pujas are conducted, and every Monday morning the devotees get to see the ceremonial bath of the idols, or the Abhishekam as it is called. Shri Baba is one of the 3 Sai Avatars that incarnated on this earth. The first one was Shirdi Sai Baba, where the Lord came as Shiva alone. The second is the Satya Sai Avatar as Shiva and Shakti both, and the next incarnation, Prema Sai, will come with only Shakti's form. Lord Shiva is Ardhanarishvara. The left half of his body is Shakti. Shiva is complete only with Shakti. Therefore, The house where Satya Sai Baba, the Shiva and Shakti avatar, was born is not different from the abode of Shiva-Shakti. Baba has shown in myriad of ways that he indeed is Lord Shiva. Fortunate devotees had visions of Baba as Shiva and Ardhanarishvara. Shivalingams, an iconic representation of Lord Shiva, would emerge out of Sri Baba's being during Shivaratri festival. Baba would materialize the holy ash or vibhuti. He used to perform Vibhuti Abhishekam to Shirdi Sai's idol, where Vibhuti poured torrentially from an empty pot. Baba has said that his mother Eashwaramma was so named because she was the mother of Eashwara himself. To a great scholar, Sri Subramanya Shastri, Baba materialized this picture, saying, "This is my true form."
This is an extraordinary picture materialized by Bhagavan Satya Sai Baba to my father. Swami shares the characteristic with Shiva in terms of his devotees being both good and bad people. Baba attracts them by miracles of love, by miracles of curing of illnesses of both body, mind and intellect. Baba cures the illnesses of the body. He's the doctor of all doctors. Like Shiva, he's the supreme, the first doctor in the universe. Is the avatar of Shiva. The two articles which are mostly associated with Shiva are Shivalinga and Shiva Vibhuti. Only Shiva has two forms. It's the regular form with limbs and the form with no limbs, endless, an ellipsoid, symbolic of the universal creative act. Each universe was coming out of Baba. Primal creative act of Shiva was replayed here by Bhagavan by bringing out from his own stomach big Shivalingas in which the universe is portrayed.
They had composed 108 names for worship of Bhagavan. There was one name, he is part of Shankara. Swami cut that and Swami said, it is Om Shri Sai Shankaraya Namah. Means he is the Shiva principle in its totality. Bhagavan conducted the Atirudra Mahayagnam, Rudra Puja in Trai. He established the Traishwara Lingam, the Sundareshwara Lingam. When the site was chosen for the construction of the Shiva Mandir, Swami asked 3 devotees whom he had given 3 lingas that had emerged from his being during Shivaratris, and he did a Trilinga Abhishekam, and on that sacred spot you have the linga shaped Shivam. Now, Bhagavan established this worship of the linga of Shiva and even in Prashanti Nilayam. That is the worship that goes on every day.
The Sai Lingam.
The Sai Lingam. In fact, Swami was born on a Monday. Swami declared he is Shiva-Shakti Swarupa. The birthplace of Bhagavan has a Shivalayam. That's the Shiva temple. So everything is connected to the worship of the Shiva principle.
Here is a vision of the consecrated temple Shivalayam, meaning Shiva's abode as it is aptly called, where 5 priests performed the puja and abhishekam to Lord Sai Shiva on Mahashivaratri of 2016. Maharudrabhishekam was performed and special offerings were made to the Lord Shiva. The offerings included milk, yogurt, ghee, honey, sugar, fruits, tender coconut water, flour, yellow rice, sandalwood paste, bilwa leaves, shudraksha, turmeric, kumkum, etc., with each individual offering bearing great spiritual significance, meant to appease the indweller within, who is verily Sai Shiva. Lord Shiva, who is hailed as Abhisheka Priya, is very pleased with such sacred offerings.
Thank you for watching Prashanti. Jai Sai Ram.
Love is my form, truth is my breath, bliss is my food. Love is my form, truth is my breath, bliss is my food.
We at Prashanti offer our humblest pranams at the most sacred lotus feet of Bhagavan Shri Satya Sai Baba. Welcome, brothers and sisters. This is Nalini.
The melodious sound of bhajans with the background music of the chirping birds permeates the serene atmosphere of Prashanti Nilayam. Suddenly the bhajans reach a crescendo. The winds waft the melodious music and usher in Shri Baba to the darshan hall. Baba glides, his orange robe swaying and swishing, making people wonder if his feet are touching the ground at all. The eager eyes of the devotees drink in the bliss of Baba's divine form, even as Swami's radiant eyes throw the same eagerness to see his dear devotees. Today on Prashanti, let us dwell on why Baba's entire life was spent on giving darshan, the opportunity he conferred on devotees day in and day out to soak in the pure bliss of his glorious sight. An article in Sanatana Sarathi of September 1998 describes beautifully the impact of Bhagwan's darshan. Here are some excerpts. A devotee once remarked, "Man walking on the moon is not so important when God walks on earth." God, whom the saints and seers described as beyond the perception of the mind, and whose glory the Vedas declare as beyond the description of words, walks amidst us. People who are sitting there waiting for him are of different kinds. Some are waiting under the agony of incurable disease. Some are immersed in round-the-clock business matters and earning millions but finding a vacuum that squeezes their heart. Some who have come just for him, just to see him, drink the beauty with their eyes. For him, it's the same routine. It has been years since he started giving darshan, taking letters, wiping tears, allaying fears, curing the diseased, despondent and desperate. The law of diminishing marginal utility doesn't exist with respect to him. He gives every darshan with the same love, the same interest, the same concern, and the same compassion as he did years ago. He walks slowly, majestically, as if floating in the air, his feet hardly touching the ground. He walks between the rows of ladies and gents. He starts taking their letters, which represent their fears and problems, he being the universal recipient of problems and the universal donor of solutions. There sits a man dying due to cancer. He has lost all hope and is like a raft without a rudder on a stormy sea. The Lord goes near him, gives a smile of assurance, and materializes vibhuti that will do what advanced radiotherapy cannot. The Lord moves on. There sits a young man, a victim of the ills of the society, which has made him doubt the very existence of God. The Lord goes near him with a smile and pats him on his head. The man, for the first time in his life, feels what love is. Tears trickle down his cheeks, and with his hands held in prayer, he lays down his heart at the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord moves on. There sits another man with a sarcastic smile across his face and defying look. The Lord goes near him, gives the same smile and moves on. After all, he is the actor who plays the role of the Lord and the role of his own creation who doubts him. With a gesture of his hand, he invites a few for private interview. Their faces express delight at the rare opportunity. Then he turns towards the students. The way he walks, the way he talks, everything changes. An air of informality, familiarity, and belongingness prevails. With a quip here, a pun there, the Lord moves on. He sees a boy sitting with a bandaged hand. The mother in him, overflowing with love, asks, "What happened?" The boy starts, "Swami, during games." Now the stern father takes over. Careless, careless, always in a hurry. To another boy he gives an understanding smile that says, "I am always with you." To yet another boy he gives a penetrating look that reaches the core of his heart, churns it and conveys, "I know what you did. I know. He has a vision, and he, being the Supreme One, takes the world there. He looks at his students to whom he wants to give a significant part in the play of his grand mission as future torch-bearers who, wherever they are, will be shining ideals and will follow his commands and principles. Every darshan is a revolution. With every darshan, the Lord takes the world one step toward himself. He transforms many hearts, cures many diseases, gives hope to the forlorn. These 5 minutes that look so simple have a bearing on so many lives. Every darshan is an opportunity to transform our lives under the watchful eyes of Sai, who is the Mother, Father, Teacher, Friend, and the Supreme Lord of our hearts.
Thank you for watching Prashanti. Jai Sai Ram.
Love is my God.
We at Prashanti offer our humblest pranams at the most sacred lotus feet of Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba. Welcome, brothers and sisters. This is Nalini.
Previously on Prashanti, we had Swami's darshan to our heart's content. Darshan was no doubt extremely auspicious. There were other two aspects which multiplied his grace by 1,000-fold: sparshan, his touch, and sambhashan, conversation with him. The vision of the Lord destroys all sins. His touch destroys the bondage of karma. Conversation with him destroys all troubles. God incarnates to grant these boons from time to time as avatars. This descent of God is for the purpose of ascent of man. Krishna came to Surdas in order to show him the way to Vrindavan. Then he started conversing with him and ultimately granted him his sparshan and relieved him of the bondage of karma. Hence, darshan, sparshan and sambhashan, all the three are essential. All names and forms are his. Here you are able to see thousands of forms of God. It's a sign of ignorance to consider yourself weak, forgetting your innate divinity. You are not a mere mortal. You are the embodiment of immortal divinity, says Sri Baba. God assumes the form of a human being. Develop firm faith that all are divine. Then you will lose your individual consciousness and become one with divinity. Padanamaskars, or touching his lotus feet, which Baba granted to devotees, was one of the main ways one could get the sparshan of Swami. Here is a devotee narrating his experience.
A friend of mine, he said, I'm doing this like a campaign for Ray-Ban and I'd like you to come. I had a thought like, should I go? Should I not? How do I find out that Swami would be happier if I go? So I had a little thinking, if Swami allows me to touch his feet, I will take it as an indication, Ashirvad, go. But if he doesn't, then I'll stay. So I went for the darshan and I got third line. I knew that even if you have the front line, if he doesn't want you to touch his feet, you can't. He seemed to come to somebody on my left. He put his left foot through the gap between two other devotees, and I saw it and I went, plunk. So Swami forced his foot through a little bit of a gap so that I could touch his feet and I could go.
If sparshan, or the touch of the Lord's feet, is so important, a question arises. Swami himself has stopped giving Padanamaskar. If sparshan is a must, then why this denial? Swami said, when he brought the curtain down on Padanamaskar some years ago, who is giving namaskar to whom? You and I are one. So where is the question of my giving namaskar to you? That remark sends a strong message. Snap out of it and go beyond duality to the non-dual state. We don't want to do that and wish to cling to the dual state, but the Master would have none of that. So when we say denial, it simply means we want to be in the kindergarten while our dear Lord and Master wants us to move on to a higher grade. If the Master for our own good wants us to go to a higher class, can we call that denial? A devotee once said to a fellow devotee, I have many Padanamaskars. This statement puzzled the friend, for he had never seen Swami giving so many Padanamaskaras to this gentleman. The devotee then said, I have a photo of Swami's feet and I not only prostrate repeatedly before it, but also hold the feet on my head. Isn't this equivalent to a Padanamaskara? In another incident, a devotee, Brigadier Bose, was craving for Swami's Padanamaskar. One day Swami said to him, do you think you can get liberation just by touching my feet? If it were so easy, then every fly that sits on my feet would get liberated. After this, the devotee Brigadier Bose never sought to touch Swami's feet, as many others try to do, often causing bruises and cuts on Swami's tender feet. After Swami had passed, He would just rub the ground on which Swami had just walked and then rub his head with the same hand. When the compassionate Lord chose to move amidst us, he silently slipped into our hearts too. The eyes that were intoxicated with the beauty of his darshan and never satiated turned within in search of that divine glimpse. Isn't that how he purified us? That was the magic of our Sai's darshan. My walking amongst you is a gift yearned for by the gods of the highest heaven, and here you are receiving this grace. Be grateful, said Baba. He remained so close, closer than humanity could ever have expected. He moved amongst us while being in every one of us. Now that Swami's physical form is not there, one should internalize him. When he succeeds in doing so, he'll become one with Baba, conferring the supreme bliss which darshan, sparshan and sambhashan did.
Thank you for watching Prashanti. Jai Sai Ram.